It is so hard to put short videos together while making a cartoon and working on what might be a 2-hour-long video essay about the Cleveland show. Sorry? Not really. We're in the middle of putting together the title sequence for my indie cartoon, Hey, and with it, I have had to study the formula of the American animated theme song pretty closely. What makes a good title sequence? And I don't mean musically, there's mad other people that can tell you a bunch of really smart stuff about how certain notes provoke like a certain emotion. I more mean like the sequence itself and what's on screen. And I'm making sure that I differentiate because last time I got like 15 well actuallys under a video that 15 people saw. I just like to say that these are not hard rules. There are plenty of sequences out there that are great and don't do half of these things. These are just some trends that I noticed with some of my favorites. Please don't do the thing YouTube commenters like to do where they say, oh, what about this or that? What about these nuts? You ever thought about that? Speaking of, I think my first video on this subject gives you two perfect examples of what I think is one of the rules of creating a good title sequence. And that's to tell us who everybody is, with or without words. Both Ed, Edd n Eddy and American Dad are unicorns in this regard. They're both so cleverly done. American Dad in barely 20 seconds shows you that Stan is patriotic, his daughter loves him but is also against his values, his son looks up to him, his wife not only has his back but is supportive, and he has an annoying alien homie that swaps costumes in literally every episode. And I guess they have a fish too. They can all be heaters, I guess. We even get to see him pull up to the CIA. All of the information is just sitting right there and we haven't even seen the cartoon yet. Ed, Edd n Eddy uses less characters in their intro, but they use that time to not just tell us who everyone is, but what their relationships look like, right? We see an obnoxious Eddie, a sloppy Ed, and a precise Double D, but we also see Eddie try to get Double D out of his shell and this making him nervous. We see Ed pissing Eddie off and him chasing him around. Just like in a cartoon, they really thought this through. Alright, I'm done recapping a video that I did 2 years ago. Here's some new shit. The Pepper Ann theme starts on and ends with her. We see her the whole sequence, and we can tell that even though the song is describing this really rad, awesome person that's way too cool for 7th grade, whatever the fuck that means, Pepper Ann is way cooler in her head than she actually is. She's clumsy, she's kind of a slacker. She has 2 great friends, but she definitely does her own thing. She does shit like hit the arcade before school and immediately gets detention. She's the type to leave her lunch at the arcade and blame it on somebody else.
Did someone take my lunch?
By the time you see her get that detention slip, you know exactly who you're about to spend the next half an hour with.
Ooh, what's up? Catch her if you can, Pepper Ann.
Even something as simple as the Hey Arnold intro tells us who our main character is. It shows us not only his best friend, but their handshake. It tells us who hates him the most, but not only that, it shows us how he responds to that hate.
Football head. Hey Arnold.
Helga calls him a slur and he steps right out of the way. A true gentleman. This one small motion tells us so much about who Arnold is. And he doesn't even open his mouth. Well, except here, I guess.
Close your mouth, honey. You'll catch flies.
Real quick, today's video is actually brought to you by Fume. Fume is a delicious air device that's perfect for anyone who's looking to break away from bad habits or just want something enjoyable to use. Nicotine-free, non-toxic, and completely guilt-free. If you watch my videos while vaping, don't. No batteries, no vapor, and nothing to charge. It's easy to use, safe everywhere, and it looks so fire. This is the artsiest thing I've ever put in my mouth. Fume has a sleek, high-quality design that anyone will love unboxing. Say it with me. It is not a vape. Flavored air isn't vaping. Vapor was compared to soda. Fume cores are closer to like a herbal tea. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crushed mint and orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Because guess what? It is not a vape. If you're used to vapor, Fume may not be as strong as you'd expect it to be at first. It definitely caught me off guard. Like, don't expect to blow any smoke out or anything. But they also won't leave you in a hospital bed, so that's chill. Variety and flavors, this little fidget thing that they got on it for the ADHD baddies. This thing is pretty cool. Get you one of them Fume joints and change your life forever. It is not a vape. But if you were paying attention, you knew that already. You will never look like this again. Break the habit, homie. This holiday season, you can give the gift of better habits with Fume. Head to tryfume.com/ToonerificTariq and use the code TOONRIFICTARIQ to get a free Fume topper when you order a journey pack. It's the perfect addition to make your gift even more special. And if you're lucky, you could even win one of Fume's limited edition gold-plated devices this holiday season. Again, tryfume.com/ToonerificTariq or just scan the QR code on the screen to grab yours now and make someone's holiday unforgettable. This one happens a lot less often, but I noticed some cartoons like to show the character's environment, or even just what a normal day looks like for them. King of the Hill is probably one of my favorite examples of this. Just a time lapse outside of Hank's house while he cracks open a beer with the guys. Things just kind of happen around Hank and the homies, and they don't typically get involved unless they have to, like taking out the trash. Why Peggy couldn't walk that shit like 2 extra feet, your guess is as good as mine. Also, while we're doing this, has anybody ever noticed that Hank's normal shirt just kind of morphs into his work shirt at the end? I've thought about this shit for years. I always thought it was just a goof, but they redo it in the widescreen version. I'm not even really sure what the point of this is. Just like I'm not sure what the point of this video is. Recess gives you clear indication of not just everyone's roles on the playground. For example, I really like this shot that pans up and TJ just gives everyone a little nod to get active. It's such a smart and clear way to establish him as the leader. But it also shows just how chaotic that playground can get. Kickballs flying everywhere, gum all over the place. King Bob definitely got this nigga killed. I refuse to hear otherwise. It gives us all the chaos that you could expect from your average episode of Recess, while also introducing us to the character that shuts all that shit down. Tender. The Proud Family and Braceface both operate similarly. While they don't tell us as much about Penny or Sharon as Pepper Ann's theme tells us about her, we do get to see their home life, their friends. It's like it's warming us up to their status quo. But there's no one way to do this. The Jetsons shows the family at the start of their day. The Flintstones shows the family at night, depending on which one you're looking at, I guess. Chowder just kind of lets an average day in the kitchen play out while we're inside the oven with the food. That's really clever. Even something like Adventure Time's intro doesn't explicitly tell you what exactly Finn and Jake do in their world. That's for the show to do. But this long sweeping shot does a great job immediately telling you how grand the scope is. Famously, The Simpsons theme does this. Starting in the clouds, in the Springfield, we not only see what an average day for Bart, or Homer, or Lisa, or Maggie and Marge looks like, but we get to see the environment in the town that they spend this day in. The HD version of the intro is nice. I always personally felt like it was a little too gag heavy, but they do a great job showing every player in this world and how they affect it, especially after having 20 years to flesh all of that out. The Simpsons actually leads me to my favorite of all of these bullet points that I have, and that's the iconic "the gang's all here" shot. You know what I'm talking about. The intro's over, everybody just kind of rushes together, holds a pose or something right before, right after, or even sometimes during the created by credit. Sitcoms love these. iCarly, Smart Guy, Drake and Josh, one-on-one. Damn, you can just smell when I grew up. Look at these examples. Animation does these a lot too, and I've always really appreciated them. The Simpsons has the iconic couch gag. The whole family runs in after their full day to sit on the couch and watch TV, and usually something silly happens. Except this one. Just sent like a chill down my spine. These niggas don't throw a pie or something? Tiny Toons does it, Fairly Odd Parent. Brought it up earlier, but the Proud Family kind of cheats in this regard. In the same way something like Mucha Lucha does. Both intros kind of end with the characters gathering around for a portrait. In Mucha Lucha, it's a big yearbook photo, and in Proud, it's a family portrait. Nice, I got next. These shots are not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I do love them every time I see them. I can't really think of any that I don't like. You're a little more likely to see a shot like this in a rigged show like Mucha Lucha or Total Drama. Having the character rigs for a big cast is a lot more manageable than having somebody animate an entire cast frame by frame. Every night, I say a prayer for whoever the poor son of a bitch was who had to animate this shot on Phineas and Ferb. They probably gave this nigga like $5. Not every show with a bunch of characters is gonna do this shot though. Why something called Garfield and Friends ends its theme song without the "and Friends" is a mystery to me. This nigga a narcissist? Who am I kidding? He's a cat. Of course he's a narcissist.
You ever like sometime, right, you get on that toilet and when you shit, that water splash up on your ass?
This just want us a little bit more nostalgic, but better animation. You watch the intro and watch the show and go like, wait a minute. The title sequence is just something that the audience is always going to look at. They're always going to see it, so you want to make sure that it's as polished as possible. It's like dressing up in your Sunday best. Put some clothes on, boy, company coming over. When both Family Guy and American Dad moved over to widescreen and reanimated their sequences, the animation is more reflective of the show's current style, but they added a little shading. But even American Dad's first intro, I always felt like the posing on Stan in particular was a lot more lively than he's ever been in the actual cartoon. I guess one of my least favorite examples is probably the latest South Park intro. I've always really loved South Park, and always will, but this like 3D intro style always just kind of felt like too much to me. What were these niggas trying to impress? Y'all already got Book of Mormon, golly, say some pussy for the rest of us. The Powerpuff Girls 2016, this is probably the best the girls have ever been animated, and the show practically looks nothing like this. It's probably for the best. Too much flipping and jumping around like this could give you more motion sickness than like hardcore Henry. I also think 80s and 90s cartoons like He-Man or X-Men, Thundercats or something also apply to this. But far be it from me to speak on cartoons that I've never watched. None of these niggas are like Stewie, therefore, I am not qualified to comment. Last thing I want to talk about, musicality. If you've been watching me for years, you should have known that this was coming. Timing, Mickey Mousing, no matter what you call it, it all kind of means the same thing. I love when you can tell that an artist really studied the music before sitting down and actually putting a sequence together. Braceface, proud again. I always really love this shot of Penny kissing Oscar on the cheek. She stays on his cheek and dashes off in just the right amount of time that it's perfectly synced to how Solange sings this part of the song.
And every day as a man after school.
The Cleveland Show's intro is actually really well timed. It honestly gets better the more you watch it. While marathoning the show for that video, I've been like obsessing over this little section right here. From Cleveland and Donna with their arms out to them kissing and closing their eyes. They're all strategically timed to both Mike Henry's vocals and the beat. Really pay attention to it. It's so smooth that you barely even notice it.
It's true love we share, and so I found a place where everyone will know.
A cheat code to doing some musicality is using clips from random episodes. If they're timed right, nobody's gonna care. This is another that's pretty normal in live action. That's So Raven immediately comes to mind. Again, can definitely tell when I grew up. But for animation, there's stuff like Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, The Weekenders, the earlier seasons of South Park. In general though, this is one of those things that's just kind of hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. I always love stuff like this, but I've grown even more appreciation for it after having to do a timing sheet for an animator working traditionally on my pilot. This was one of the craziest things I have ever had to do. Thank God for Toon Boom, nigga. Nothing will humble you more than a trip back to the damn Stone Age. Like I said, none of these rules are set in stone. Not only do some of my favorites barely use any of these, like Kids Next Door kind of just does musicality and the character thing, but still fire. But I also think mine only uses like 3. Place your bets on which 3 you think. I thought about showing y'all, but nah, we're not gonna be doing that. Let me know in the comments what makes a good intro to you. If I focus too much on one thing, or if there's something that's really important to you that I forgot to mention, and I'll pretend like I read it. Also, let me know if there are any shows I briefly mentioned in this video that you'd like to see me talk about next year. I think I'm gonna try to get back into my retrospective bag next year, so just throw some stuff at me. I wanna see what I'm gonna do after Cleveland Show and All Grown Up. Nasty roster, but you already know what channel you clicked on. Stop playing. All right, the video over.
Shout out to Fume again. It's not a vape. Don't play with me.
Donation link down below if you want to give a little extra bread to a young nigga trying to make his cartoon dreams come true. Or not. Don't feel bad if you can't. Shit real out here. I get it.
Gosh.
First things first, eye popper, freaks all the honeys, dummies, playboy bunnies, those wanting money. Those the ones I like cause they don't get Nathan but penetration. Unless it smells like sanitation, garbage I turn like doorknobs. Heart throb never, black and ugly as ever. However, I stay Coochie down to the socks, rings and watch filled with rocks. And my jam knocking your Mitsubishi. Girls pee-pee when they see me, Navajos creep me in they teepee. As I lay down laws like Island Coppet. Stop stop it. If you think they're gonna make a profit, don't see my ones, don't see my guns, get it? Now tell your friends Papa hit it, then split it in two as I flow with the Junior Mafia. I don't know what the hell's stopping ya. I'm clocking ya, Versace shade watching ya. Once you grin, I'm in, game begins. First I talk about how I dress is this, and diamond necklaces, stretch Lexuses. The sex is just immaculate. From the back I get deep.